many exploitation. Even the time limit was not being raised, and all due to all such issues. Na, in 36, this act was passed on certain classes of person to regulate and to form a regular interval without any unauthorized deduction. In this act, there is a list of deductions mentioned. Under that heading only, the employers are liable to have deduction from employees' wages and salaries. Other than this, they are not liable to do. Even the time for the payment of wages have been fixed. Where 1,000 or more employees are there before 7th or 10th date, and there where 1,000 or more less than 1,000, their time limit is 7 days, and other than that 10 days. Now, in this Payment of Wages Act, there have been also the provision of penalties, wherein if any employer by any of the means have any deductions from the salary or wages of the workers, then government have mentioned the penalties, and even the provisions of imprisonment are also been mentioned. Now, the next act, which is Minimum Wages Act 1948. Generally, this, if we talk about the objective of this act, is to provide for fixation and enforcement of minimum wages in the specified schedule which is mentioned in the act. And even the main objective of this act is to have a review and revise of the wage rates within the 5 years. Now, if we talk about the Payment of Bonus Act 1965, before this enactment of this act, it was upon the employers only that some employers used to think that employees are our asset. They used to share their profit with the employees, but it was not compulsion on each and every employer. If an employer is of a philanthropy nature, he will give bonus to his workers. Others will not give. Such type of scenario was that there was not compulsion on each and every employer to give bonus every year or to every employee. But to maintain a uniformity, this act, the Payment of Bonus Act, was enacted in 1965. Basically, if we talk about the objective, was to impose the statutory liability on the employers of every organization to give bonus to their employees. Now, after the enactment of this act, it was made compulsory on each and every employers. And for the calculation of bonus, the minimum limit of bonus was 8.33, which has been raised to 11% also. That we will even discuss in the reforms also. Now, if we talk about the calculation of bonus, generally the bonus has generally been calculated on the allocable surplus and even the available surplus. Allocable surplus is the 60% of allocable surplus. On the other hand, allocable surplus will include the gross profit, which will exclude depreciation and other expenses. After this, in this act, even the process, even the maximum limit and the minimum limit of bonus has been fixed. Now, in this act, there is even the provision of set on and set off also. Set on, if we have a glance on the point set on is when the employer have calculated their gross profit, and when the amount is left over, it it maximizes the limited which is stated by law, then the employer is supposed to give that not that maximum limit, but the amount which is decided by law. And set off is when there is no profit in the organization, or the profit is not up to the mark, then the employers will use the previous year set on reserves for setting off the liabilities, for setting off the bonus amount to the employees. In this act, even the provision for penalties have been stated. Whenever there is any prohibition, or whenever there is any amendment in the act, the employers are supposed to follow it. Now, if we discuss about the laws related to working hours, the conditions of service, and the employments, there are many laws which are Factories Act 1948, the Plantation Labor Act 1951, Mines Act 1952, Working Journalist and Other Newspaper Employees Act 1955, Merchant Shipping Act 1958, Motor Transport Workers Act 1961. Now, if we just have a brief glance on Factories Act 1948. First Factories Act was enacted in 1881, which only helped to protect the children and to regulate the working conditions. But due to some drawbacks, day by day amendments were being there in 1912. Amendment was there in 1921. Amendment was there. Then in 1948, the act was enacted. Basically, the objective of this act was to protect the children, even to protect the young persons, even to provide health, safety and welfare measures to the workers, and even to protect female workers also. The act was basically covering the working hours also, the leave, overtime, holidays, or all these issues were being covered in this act. Now, if we talk about some of the points of this act, generally in this act they have defined the children as a person who is below the age of 14. They have defined young person as the person between the age of 15 to 18, and they have defined adult as a person whose age is above 18 years. Now, in this act, they have prohibited the employment of children in industrial establishments. Even the provisions have been mentioned in the act, where the young persons are supposed to work in the organization, but with due certificate of fitness, which the certifying officer will issue to them. If the certifying officer finds any problems, finds any issues, he will not issue the certificate of fitness to the young person. For employment of women, women's are generally been restricted during the night hours from 9 to morning 6. Even children are provided the provision to have a break, to have a shift of 4 hours. Now, if we talk about some of the health, safety and welfare measures in this act, the provisions have been set up for canteen. Provisions are set up for restroom, creche. All these provisions are being covered in this act. Even the safety measures, even for welfare, spittoons, washrooms have been mentioned in this act. Now, in this act, there is a provision of working hours also, where the employees are given some benefits on overtimes also, and even to young persons also. Now, if we talk about the next is some of the amendments which are which are available in this law. Now, in Factories Act, generally normal working hour for adult are 9 hours per day, amounting to 48 hours per week. Further, the working hours for young person are 4.5 hours per day. And in case of paid vacation, the Act lays down that any worker who has worked at least 240 days in a year is entitled to a paid leave of 12 working days. However, the duration differs for adult and children workers. While an adult worker is entitled for 1 day leave for every 20 days of service, and the ratio for child worker is 1:5. Now, workers are entitled to paid laid off during the public and religious festivals, including the memorial and religious holidays. The main 3 national public holidays recognized by the Constitution are Republic Day, Independence Day, and even for the Gandhi Jayanti. Now, if we have some other view on the current scenario, Trade Union Act 1926 last was revised in 2012, which provide the freedom to form association or union or cooperative societies. It also lays down the procedure for registration of such a union, guaranteeing the employment of all the rights promised to them. Now, if we talk about Industrial Dispute Act, first the strike and lockouts, the provision of strike and lockout was already been carried forward in the Act. All the citizens have the right to assemble and even have a peaceful strike. But they have to give prior 6 week notice before any strike. If they are not following this provision, then the penalties and then their strike would be considered as illegal strike. Now, if we talk about some more issues, some more reforms in this labor policies. In Chapter 5B of Industrial Dispute Act 1947 requires a prior approval of appropriate government before any layoff, retrenchment or closure in establishment employing 100 workers or more. Now, if we just have a glance on these words, layoff, retrenchment and closure, then layoff is a situation on the part of the employer when he is not able to give employment to his workers due to his inability, due to some natural calamities. He is not able to give work to their workers. It might be due to shortage of raw material, unavailability of raw material, or some natural calamity have occurred. Even more stock has been accumulated. Then at that time, when the employer is not able to give employment to the employees, then that condition is called as layoff. And for layoff, the employers are supposed to give the amount of layoff to the employees whose name are being mentioned in the register of the register of the organization. And even then, this layoff will be paid to only those workers who are present on that day. Now, if we talk about retrenchment, retrenchment is when there are surplus in the organization, then the employer will retrench the employees, but that should not be in the case of in the case as a view of punishment. If by way of punishment they are terminating the services of any workman, then it will be not called as retrenchment. Retrenchment means only the surplus available in the organization where the employer will retrench the employees, and those employees will be given retrenchment benefits also. Now, this retrenchment benefits will be given will not be given to voluntary to employees who are on contract basis, on the employees who are appointed on who are having some diseases, or even on the person who has applied for voluntary retirement from the organization. Only those employees will be given retrenchment benefits whose name are being mentioned in the mustered roll of the organization, and who are the employees who are not the employees of the contractors. Now, if we talk about closure is a temporary closing of any organization. It will not include the permanent closing of any organization. During the time of closure, the employers are supposed to give notice to each and every department of the company for and even state the reason for their closure. Now, the next is the section 9A of the Act mandates 21 days notice before affecting any change in the establishment or the conditions of the services of any employee. If employer wants to make some changes in any of the organization, then they are supposed to give a notice